What's up, everybody? I'm filming from my car today, so bear with me. I apologize for the bad audio and the odd lighting and angles in here, but I wanted to take this opportunity because I was just doing a little bit of research here. Thought I'd record a video on it while I'm waiting. A little bit of research on Apple. Now, Apple has been doing something for a couple of years that I really haven't understood. They hold on to a ton of cash. I think right now the number is like right around $210 billion in cash. Now, one of the kind of mantras, or kind of a good rule of thumb in investing, is to follow the big money, because it's the big money that usually goes to the places where it's gonna make money first. And so when you follow the big money, you're kind of able to ride the wave. It's the institutions and the central banks that know what's gonna happen first. And so, kind of as a rule of thumb, it's not the individual or the small person that is going to make the best investing plays. It's going to be the hedge funds, the institutions, the central banks. That's the big money that's going to make those plays and know about things that they should do with their money before everybody else does, before your dentist knows. No offense if you're a dentist. So one of the things that Apple is always done is it's always held a ton in cash, like a lot of money. And right now, like I said, like $210 billion in cash, I believe it was the last number that I looked at. Now, what they recently announced is that they are going to start borrowing money. They're entering the bond market. They're going to issue bonds to borrow a ton of money. And the goal, their stated goal, is to become net cash neutral. Now, this is, from everything that I've been talking about, everything that I say is going to happen, this is a brilliant move. And the fact that they were holding so much in cash was actually kind of surprising to me, because if you've listened to me at all lately, you understand what I'm talking about, which is cash is going to become useless and cash is going to become worthless. The US dollar, specifically, currencies that aren't backed by anything with intrinsic value. And so we're going to see an unprecedented amount of inflation start to be unleashed on the world as central banks around the world keep on this race to zero, lowering rates to negative rates, printing more money, buying up bad assets as the recession starts to hit and things start to kind of fall apart. So things like the US dollar their purchasing power is going to be erased. And so holding on to cash is a very, very, very bad use of your money. You should, have enough cash to be able to, fund your typical short-term expenses. But beyond that, your savings account should be in something stable like gold. So looking at how much cash Apple had on hand, looked like, I wouldn't feel comfortable investing in Apple, because you've got $210 billion of purchasing power right now that in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years might be worth $100 billion worth of purchasing power, or $50 billion worth of purchasing power, or even less, depending on the extent of the crisis, the next crisis. So I was looking at this and really curious, because they're a big company and that's a lot of money, and I'm sure they have people in the know that are looking at what the economy is going to do and what central banks are doing. And so it was just very curious to me why they were holding on to so much cash. Well, obviously they're not anymore. Their goal is to become net cash neutral. But this is the craziest part. They are not actually just getting rid of their cash and investing it, or using their cash to do things like buy stock purchases. What they're doing is they're trying to take out debt in an equal amount to the amount of cash that they have. So if they have $200 billion worth of cash, they also want $200 billion worth of debt. They want to be in a net cash neutral position. And the reason this is brilliant is because debt right now, at the rates that they can issue debt at with the current interest rate environment, they're going to be making money on that. So if you can issue debt right now, if you can take out debt by basically having somebody loan you money, so they're going to issue these bonds and have whoever's going to buy those bonds essentially that's what a bond is. It's people loaning them money. Whatever the rate is, it's not going to be astronomical. It's not going to be like a credit card. It's not going to be like a personal loan. They're going to get a good rate. They're a good company. They've got good assets. They've got good cash. They've got good balance sheet, financial statements. So they're going to get a great rate on this debt. It's not going to come close to what inflation is about to be. So when you look at the inflation that's going to be unleashed on this world, dollars are going to lose their value so quickly that if you have debt at 3%, 4%, 5%, potentially even 7 or 8%, when you look at countries that have this high rate of inflation or even hyperinflation, sometimes you see currency being devalued or losing its value at rates of 40% a year or more. And so when you look at issuing debt, taking out loans in the rate of under 10%, well, you're owing 10% on that debt, but what you used it for, even if you're just using that to buy something stable like gold, well, the dollar is losing value so quickly that when you have to pay that debt back, you're paying it back with dollars that are worth a lot less than just what you paid in interest. And so you're coming out net even. So that's why they're not just getting rid of their cash. They're not just getting rid of their dollars. They're getting into a net cash neutral position by holding onto those dollars so that if anything happens, they could pay off that debt immediately. $200 billion worth of debt, $200 billion worth of cash. So they could pay off that debt immediately. So this is brilliant because the risk is extremely low, because they're not just getting rid of their cash, they're holding their cash and then they're taking out debt. And so what they're doing is they're taking advantage of the fact that those dollars are becoming worthless, and they're turning that into a potential to earn a lot more, to invest a lot more than they could if they just used that cash on hand. So they're eliminating their risk by keeping the cash in order to pay off that debt if they need to, but they're using all that debt. And the funny part is they're just doing some very, very they're doing stock buybacks. They're doing dividend paybacks. They're doing some, research and development, just general corporate purposes, because they're realizing, hey, if we just hold on to this cash and do nothing with it, we're losing in the long run. The inflation is going to erode the value of that $200 billion. We don't want that to happen, and so we're going to use that as collateral, take out debt, and then use that debt, because then when we have to pay this back over a long period of time, we're paying it back with dollars that are worth a lot less than what they're worth right now. So we're going to use them. We're going to basically borrow from the future. And we're going to get dollars. We're going to get money at really cheap rates. And so it's just a brilliant move, and it solves one of the puzzles of Apple, which I've been wondering about recently, which is why they've been holding on to so much cash. And now looks like they've finally hatched a plan to do something with it. They're using it as collateral to get into a net cash neutral position. And they're going to use all this debt to do things that are going to basically earn them money with this cash instead of start losing them money, because the amount that inflation is going to erode the value of that debt is the inflation amounts are astronomical what's coming compared to the interest that they're going to have to pay on this. So they're making out huge in the long run. So bold move by Apple, great move by Apple, and just again another sign from big money that we're about to have the dollar and other currencies start to really lose their value really quickly here. So that's all I have to say today. Just a very interesting fact about what Apple is doing right now. And if you want to learn more about how you can protect yourself against inflation, check out my book on financial. It's called Financial Heresy. It's on Amazon. And go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like button, and really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.